Sure.
You look at yourselves in Michigan. Michigan's got the number 1 ranked offensive teams that have played more than Ivy League number of games, and you've got the number 1 defense. Does it boil down to that for you? I mean, there's obviously more that goes into it, but you look at a team that's scoring 5 goals a game, 7 goals a game at home. I mean, there's obviously something that has to work right for you guys to do it. How are you feeling about what you've done so far to kind of stack up against that?
Oh, I think we're top 10 in the country in scoring too. So I mean, to me, it's your overall game. If they get to 5 or 7, it's going to be a steep climb in that building. But I remember just a couple of years ago, it was pretty crazy in that building. I think there were 6 or 7 goals scored in the first period. Things happen fast. I'm assuming it's going to be full with Wolverine fans, and so we're going to have to go in and earn everything we get. They're not going to give it to you. They're also good defensively. I know you talk about their offense, but I think they're good defensively because they have the puck most of the time. You know, their special teams are very good. From top to bottom, if you look at their dispersion of minutes throughout their lineup, they roll 4 lines. They play 6 defensemen plus. And I know they've had a mishap here just recently, but, you know, from my standpoint, they're about as complete team as we've seen up until this point.
When you look back at what Montgomery's done, especially this last week, as a freshman, as someone who's kind of gone through different level, I mean, USHL to OHL last year, but a guy that's gone through a few different places, how has he settled in here just to be able to be comfortable enough to do that, what he's done this last few weeks?
Well, first of all, it was a little bit of an odd situation only compared to everybody else that was on our team because he played so late, you know, with the Memorial Cup and winning that. And then immediately kind of came into campus, and it took a while for him to be able to get his feet underneath him, where he ended up taking some time and going home for a little bit in the summer to get around those that mean the most to him, and was able to regroup a little bit. But he's never once as he came in and said, well, you know, I need this or I need that. He's just gone to work. Those guys are fun to coach. The other piece of that is he's okay working for his opportunities. He doesn't expect them to be given. He's okay with them being earned. He's earned them. And then when he's had the opportunity, he's definitely taken advantage of it. I think one thing Ottawa did a really good job of, other than drafting him, is they just gave him some direction the other day and go ahead and use your feet. You know, get skating. And when he does that, he's different than others. So his demeanor, he's got a smile on the face coming into the rink. He's probably one of those guys that can keep it as light as anybody. But when we go out and practice, he loves playing the game. Those guys are fun to be around.
We've seen your power play have a success with bodies in front of the net. It seems like that's a really big thing anytime, but when you're getting that success and it kind of feeds off of itself, does that reinforce the notion of, hey, you got to be there to make a play, to make a tip, to make a screen, whatever you're going to do, and get that in those players' mindset?
Yeah, I think and this is probably an odd way to relate it, but when you're telling your kid to quit jumping off the couch with no pillows underneath him, and then he does it and he gets hurt, he kind of figures it out. This is a little bit of the opposite, where, you know, you have moments where you're talking about traffic, and when they turn the TV on and they're watching the National Hockey League, you hear net front presence a lot during a broadcast. If you're in the coaching circles at that level, you hear that a lot because the goaltenders are so good that if you don't take away their eyes and give them more difficulty in trying to find the puck, they're going to stop it. And one guy that I think is really elevated, and the guy I think you're referencing really, is Simon Tassi. And he's done it by going into the hard area without taking penalties, you know, because you are going to get beaten up to get in that area. And sooner or later, just like anywhere else, if you get pushed too far, you want to retaliate. And he's done a really good job of going in and being rewarded for that, but also living on the edge a little bit without going over the edge and taking penalties.
We saw last week where your forecheck can really do some damage when it's you know, getting forward and creating havoc. What have you seen that you liked, and where do you, maybe are some things that you still can grow at in terms of how that can be more effective?
Well, just little things. Our sticks can continue to get better, and then really our hunt when we're coming back. Once a puck gets above us, we can continue instead of standing up and looking, continuing to get back and try and get equal or above it. Those are two things that I think we can get better at. And then just, we've had some teams that, if we are going to go that hard, they're going to just bypass us. They put it on a wall, and just really some of our reads that way, but really being connected whether we have it or we don't, and understanding where we should go and where we need to get to make it harder for somebody to enter our zone of possession. And that's the hunting part of coming back. We've still got a ways to go there.
Obviously, the best way to not give up power play goals is to not be in the penalty box. But short of that, when you look at how you've done so far and what you've got coming up, what are the things you stress for those four guys to be as connected as possible when they're playing a team like Michigan?
One thing that's most difficult about defending their power play is they're not one-dimensional. They don't have a guy that sits over on the Ovechkin dot and hammers a one-timer. They're fluid. They change positions. For us, it's going to be winning faceoffs, right? Making sure we're not starting with them having possession. Obviously, the piece of if they're going to go on the power play, it can't be 5 or 6. It's got to be 1 or 2. And then they're about as hungry as a team I've seen on the power play at retrievals. And then once they break you down on a 2-on-1 attacking the net, with guys being that next play, that backdoor, that seam pass. So our sticks are going to have to be outstanding, I think, also.
Is this, obviously, I think what Blake said the other night was that you can't be mad when you're winning, when things are going well. You seeing this group feel loose and feel like it's just kind of prepared for the next and the next and rolling, taking what it's done and kind of just going on?
They have so far this week and even last week. But with that day in between, it was I thought the foot came off the gas a little bit. Now, I want to give Minnesota credit on making a push. But I thought on Thursday there was a commitment up and down our lineup on both sides of the puck. Our goaltender played well when he needed to. There was an attention to detail that game, and I thought I think 5 of the first 6 shots Minnesota had, and they could have put us on our heels. And I liked how we reacted to that because it's going to happen at times. But I always base it on, do the guys come to the rink and go to work? And then what's the attitude with the work? Do we have to do this or do we get to do this? And the guys our leadership group's done a really good job, and I haven't talked a lot about them, but they've done a really good job at helping our guys understand when they need to go and when they don't.
You have anything on injuries? I know Kukkonen went out Saturday and Zelenoff came back, but I know that he was dinged up a little bit.
Zelenoff's full go. Kukkonen was skating today, and he's just progressing, and in a really good way. I think he's in a good spot also to be available. So other than that, I think we're good.